Hey, 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 it's Kirsten, and thank you for joining me again. This is the second video I promised in my little mini series. It's not really a series, whatever. Anyway, geared towards preparing you to really make this your year, whether you're stepping into a new school year at a ballet school or a new fall semester as a recreational student, or you're a professional dancer getting ready to go into another season of rehearsing and performing. This video is for you because I know all of us coming out of summer break can get stuck in this downward spiral of thoughts when we look in the mirror and we're like, ugh, I'm not what I used to be in April at the end of the season. I look terrible. I can't do anything. Or you're looking around at some other peer who seems to have magically stayed in perfect shape the whole summer and you're like, everyone's just looking at me and I look terrible and why am I here? We've all been there. So I want to give you some really crucial mindset reframes, thought reframes, so that you know what to do in those moments and you can use your energy to do what you can and kind of make lemonade out of lemons instead of just letting yourself sink lower and lower and lower into a victim mentality. So let's get on with the video. So the first thing is that I want to just throw away the comparison mentality that we even have with ourselves. So a lot of times when I say, or I ask, do you struggle with comparison? A lot of people are thinking that I exclusively mean comparison between you and your peers, but no. You know, like, listen, I'm just going to point this out. How many of us in low moments randomly do this terrible self-sabotage thing where we go to our phones and flip through all of our pictures and go into this weird reminiscing session about what we used to look like and how in shape we used to be and how good we used to look. I've done that a million times, and I swear every time I bring that up with one of my clients, I'm like, do you do this? I mean, tell me if you've done this. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I've done that a million times. Okay, give me a little hands up emoji or just give me a shout out in the comments if you've done this. It's crazy. Why do we do this? It's like we're trying to prove to ourselves that we're so much less than we were. So when I'm talking about comparison, I'm not just talking about comparison between you and other people. It could be you and you. So you got to watch out for it, because it's not always a helpful thing. A lot of us use comparison in order to motivate ourselves. But listen, Linda. When you put your mind in comparison mode, the funny thing about the human mind is that it's geared towards pointing out differences, towards observing differences. A lot of times, what does differences mean? Problems, or inconsistencies. Your brain is, like for instance, if you look at a long wall with 30 of the same picture, just lined up side by side on the wall, you are going to notice instantly the one that's tilted at an angle. That's because your mind is just programmed to look for differences like that. So when we go into comparison mode, it's not necessarily helpful because your mind is naturally going to point out what's wrong with you, what you think is wrong with you, or bad, okay? So you're going to be looking for negatives in order to improve. And I don't want you to go into that mental place. Instead, recognize that no matter what your physical condition is right now, you can always have a growth-oriented mindset. This is the reframe I'm talking about. Hold on. So instead of asking yourself, why can't I do this? I used to be able to do this. Focusing your energy on the past and lack, what you perceive you don't have anymore. Don't waste your time doing that. Instead, you can observe it, catch yourself going like you're about to spiral downwards in that direction, and instead ask yourself, given what you have right now, given what you are capable of, what can you do with it? What I mean is that we always have, think of it, at the very least, you probably have 2 legs and 2 arms and some ability to move your body. Even if you walk into the studio one morning completely stiff, sore, injured, chances are you can do something. Instead of focusing on what you can't do and what you don't have and comparing yourself to yesterday when you were in a different physical state, focus on what you can do now. This sounds very simple. But here's a nuance I've learned about, at least in my own mind, that really changed my dancing. So instead of like when I'm doing a développé à la seconde after a break and my leg is clearly lower than it was before, instead of being like, ugh, can't get it as high as it was, I'm a loser. Instead, I just hold my leg as still as it can go, focus on stability, and then surrender to that movement and focus on that more freedom I can have in my upper body. I actually practice that concept of separating what your upper body and lower body is doing so that you can have more artistic freedom. There's no better time to practice that than when your lower body feels terrible. This is a growth-oriented mindset that you can shift to when you feel tempted to be kind of upset with your lack of progress, or you feel like, you're less than you were before. So to just go deeper into that concept, I like to constantly remind myself that there is a time and a place for everything, and there is opportunity in every single physical state you experience. So what I mean is that no matter if you're so sore and injured and you're not as flexible as you normally are, that doesn't necessarily matter. There are still things that even the limitations you feel in your body can encourage you to focus on something else. It can encourage you to learn how to work with that more instead of perceiving you're limited, it's a terrible day, and then throwing all of those learning opportunities in the trash. So I don't know if you've ever choreographed a dance or something with, it's called creative boundaries or creative limitations or creative constraints. I think that's what it is. So for instance, you could have tried to make a dance out of just your arms, not moving your legs. Chances are, if you've ever tried to do that, you've found a lot more possibilities for what you can do with just your arms. The concept of creative constraints is extremely powerful, and you can use it every day in your dancing. No matter what physical state you're in right now and what you're able to do, you can always find a new way to adapt to it, to kind of melt into it and to work with it and create something new, or create a new learning in your body, a new sensation, a new way for coping with that, instead of just being like, oh, I'm terrible, I can't do anything. No, always have an opportunistic mindset. And here's another way to think about it. Personally, I'm very motivated by the concept of treating everything challenging like a game. When I actually put my brain in play mode, I'm much less likely to take limitations or setbacks or broken expectations that seriously, while also taking my work and my progress seriously. So there's a difference. You can treat everything like a game to constantly see how you can adapt better, create something new out of a limitation, handle a new problem with more, I don't know, whatever kind of mindset you want to put onto it. Just experiment with treating maybe falling out of a pirouette like a game. See how many different ways you can adapt to pretend like you meant to do that all along. That's the kind of playful mindset that really makes dancers principal dancers, honestly. Like, I heard of stories of Carlos Acosta and how he would never really fall out of a pirouette or ever look like he made a mistake because he had a million different ways for how he could turn an offset pirouette into a kneel, a lunge, a tendu, a releve arabesque. He would change the choreography to make it look like he did that on purpose all the time. I'm pretty sure that's what made him so amazing. And honestly, the way you handle things like falling out of a pirouette says so much more about you than the fallen pirouette itself. Everybody trips out of a pirouette, but the way you choose to handle it, whether it be frustration, anger at yourself, disappointment, you're ready to just literally walk away from the combination. I see so many professional dancers do that. I think it's beyond unprofessional. They'll literally fall out of one pirouette and walk away. If you've done that, sorry, I'm not trying to judge you personally, but I just really think we could do better. I think that there's so much self-respect that you can gain from, again, treating it like a game, seeing how you can adjust your approach, handle that fallen pirouette and make it look like, oh, I meant to do that all along. See what you can do to even, smile, crack a smile, laugh at yourself when that happens, out of, a good nature, still have a certain amount of being serious about your work, but not too serious about yourself. There's a good balance that you can have there. But anyway, I think you guys get my point. I just really want to emphasize that the falling out of the pirouette isn't who you are, but how you choose to deal with it is reflective of who you are. Or excuse me, who you're choosing to be or act like. I don't want to just make really bold, crazy identity statement claims here. Another thing I'd like to present to you is the concept of walking in every day with a clean slate. I know this is easier said than done, but truly, if you just come into the studio and do an honest body scan, really see how you're doing, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I can't do this today, this feels terrible, see what you do have, what capabilities you do have, and how you can use it to your advantage. Okay, again, the opportunistic mindset. Take an honest assessment of how stiff your legs are. Maybe you could work more on your upper body that day. Whatever it is, just always do an assessment and don't be very quick to make an interpretation out of suddenly falling from grace just because yesterday you felt like you were on top of the world and today you're sore because you pushed too hard. A lot of dancers are very quick to make stories and interpretations that are very negative out of just having a kind of difficult physical day. The last tip I want to give you guys is to observe these stories and interpretations you're creating out of just being more sore or falling out of a pirouette or not feeling as capable as you were yesterday. A lot of us can be very quick to either say, I'm terrible, which is an identity statement. You should really watch out for I am statements. Instead, reframe, say I am feeling like, because that's more accurate. Do not exaggerate. Don't mess around with identity statements like that. Your subconscious mind is listening. But anyway, instead of just instantly saying oh my gosh, I'm in a downward spiral. Oh my gosh, I'm getting worse. Oh my gosh, people are looking at me. Watch out. Observe the stories and interpretations you're creating out of this frustrating feeling, and instead, stop, say that's one way to look at it. You can either then spend your time creating a new perspective or a new story or interpretation that's actually helpful to you, or you could just drop the stories altogether and just say, okay, this is what I have. This is just my inventory for today. Let's see what I can do with it. It's much different. That's a really big energetic shift that happens that I promise will make you a lot healthier mentally, a lot happier as a dancer, and a lot more playful. You'll have a lot more fun in the studio, I promise. Just real quick, I want to say that if you are starting out a new school year and you're ready to make this your year, and you might be thinking, you might still have some baggage from last season. You might have a lot of memories of how you completely crumbled under pressure, or you constantly struggled with comparison, or anytime you go in the studio and try harder, you just get more frustrated and you feel more inadequate. As a mindset coach for dancers, right now what I'm helping a lot of my current clients with is preparing them to create a new story for the new year, turn a new chapter in the book, and get them to the point mentally where they are ready to step into the studio and say, I've got this, I'm grateful for everything that I have, all that my body's able to do, and to really make something out of it that helps them live up to their potential. So if you're ready to really actually have the kind of confidence that you've been longing for, that you've been hoping to gain through certain castings or getting into a certain company or being at a certain level in a school or getting certain compliments from your teacher. Don't rely on those things anymore. I'd be happy to guide you through the process of gaining confidence in a true, sustainable, and healthy way. That's what I do as a mindset coach, and it would be my pleasure to help you through that process. So go ahead and click the link in my description for my website. Apply for a free consultation. It'd be perfect if you want to sign up for my Mindset Intensive. That's 3 sessions that can be the perfect kickstart to your year, as I want to keep calling it. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.